Good evening, friends. It's Chris Angel coming at you for another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. And this is episode 109. How about that? And we are sitting on my deck here in the evening. And we're going to talk about in this episode Limbo. I'm pulling this from the hero's journey. There's this moment in the hero's journey. The hero's journey basically is just the journey that we all take, right? And so as we live our life, we get to this moment where we're resigned and cynical about the way it's been, right? It could be our career, it could be a relationship, could be, well, let's put it in the context of business. So we go through business, we get into business for ourselves, off we go, and we build skills, we build mindsets, but at some point then it starts to not go the way we want it to. And we buy a lot of courses, we do all the things we do to try to find answers in that season, but we keep bumping up against this isn't it. And then in some strange way, we are able to cross over into something new. So in that place where that something new is limbo. We're like, okay, I'm not willing to do that anymore. Like whatever I just came out of, that career, that relationship, that job, that whatever that was, I'm not willing to do that anymore. But we're also not clear about what is next. So we sit here in limbo going, I will not go back to that. But we're also not clear how to move forward into what's next. This is limbo. Limbo is a very, very frustrating place to be. In some ways, it's awesome because it's not what it used to. It's not the suffering we had from before. We've left that, right? We left the suffering of the previous career, relationship, or whatever it was. But now we're in this place of limbo, and we don't know how to move forward. In some ways, we sort of. That's right. We're in the gap. In some ways, we're sort of waiting for, I love the law of attraction. So in some ways, it's like, well, I've asked for something new and I'm waiting for something to show up. And there's like waiting. Do you remember the Dr. Seuss book, The Places You'll Go? And there was that part of the book that was the waiting place. And we're just all in the waiting place in limbo. And you know that you can't just wait forever. Like, what are you going to wait for 20 years until something shows up? No, that's not good either. So part of it is this like receiving and open and waiting for something to show up. And the other part of it is like this, yes, but I want to do something. I am a human being and I am built to move. I'm built to move forward, especially if you're a creative soul. Like you want to go out and put your mark in the world. I want to go create something that has meaning and purpose. But in limbo, we don't know which path do I take? Do I go left? Do I go right? There's so many options in limbo, partially because we're so open now. We're open and we're like, okay, I'm not going back to that. And then we look at all of our options and we're like, crap, that's a lot of options. So how do we get out of limbo? I'm going to share with you how I got out of limbo. I was in limbo for a long time. I think when you're in limbo, it feels like it's forever. You're like, am I ever going to get out of this space? The other part of limbo that makes it tough is like, because you don't know which path to take and you're not willing to do what you used to do, like cash flow dries up, right? You're like, you have to start getting creative about how to make money because you're not willing to make money the way you used to make money because that stole your soul. But you're also not willing to make money, but you're also not sure how to make money moving forward, right? So here's what I learned. There are 4 things that I sort of figured out about moving out of limbo. Number one was, hey Ty, can you go inside? Number one was, now we're going to have playtime with the dog, so I will show you Ellie. Okay, so the first thing that I did was, I don't even know if there was an order to this, but there are 4. One of the things of the 4 is that I started to get clear about my message. So before limbo, and even in limbo, I was like, there are so many things I could talk about with the world. I could talk about marketing. I could talk about business. I could talk about family. I could talk about spiritual matters. There's a lot of things that I could talk about, and I didn't know which to talk about. So I started to get clear that I wanted to talk about business and specifically marketing because that's where most people are stuck and frustrated. And it's where I was stuck and frustrated. And that inside of that, I felt like there was something that sparked in me that I was like, I see a path forward in marketing that feels congruent and authentic. And when you find your message, You may not have all the other pieces figured out yet, like, well, who's going to buy it and where am I going to share it and how, all that, but you know that the message is true. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you go, oh, this message is the right message. So that was the first thing. I was like, okay, this is what I want to talk about. The second thing that happened was my method, right? So first was the message, then was the method. Okay, the method being like, how am I going to talk about marketing? What is my marketing method? How, like, do I even have a method for marketing? Right? So there was a lot of time spent developing what that method was. So if you're stuck in limbo, the first thing you could do is you could figure out, what is it that I really want to say to the world? Because that's at the heart of your business. Then you could figure out, what's my method to say it to the world? Not just what I'm going to say, but how am I going to move this out into the world? Okay, the third thing that I started to, that moved me out of limbo was getting clear about the people I wanted to speak to. And for a long time, I was not wanting to speak to any one person. I wanted to speak to everybody because I want to help everybody. And then it was, okay, well, now I'm going to speak to business people. But inside of that was too generic. It wasn't specific enough. So then I was like, well, I don't want to specifically speak to real estate agents, which is my background, about real estate. I'm happy to talk to real estate agents if they have transformation to make in the world, but I don't want to talk anymore about the real estate process. Right? I feel like I've outgrown that conversation. That's not where my message is at anymore. So I was like, I kept playing with it, and then it locked itself in. It got into alignment with, sorry, my dogs are barking in this other room and it's very distracting. I got into this place where, that was my be quiet sign to my son. Okay, read presence. So my people, I've started to realize, like, who I love to talk to are people who have a spiritual angle, a spiritual understanding. They like things like the law of attraction. They understand that we are all energy. They believe in that we're spiritual beings first and physical beings second. Like they're very open-minded. They're open-hearted. They want to make a difference in the world. So I started getting clearer and clearer about who the people were that I wanted to speak to. And that was super helpful, because more helpful than I thought it would have been, right? Because when I started to get clear about who my people were, I could actually start to get present to where they were feeling stuck and what was possible for them. And I could speak in language that they we share, right? I could talk about spiritual things. I could talk about the law of attraction. I could talk about things that wouldn't repel them, but it would actually let them know that we're from the same tribe. So that was super helpful. So we had message, then we had method, then I had people, right? Got really clear about my people. And then finally was my path, right? Like what is the path? Now that I'm clear about my message, my method, my people, what is the path I'm going to take this business to the next level? Now I get to chart my path, right? Method is distinct in that it's about how am I going to say what I'm going to say, but path is about the journey I'm on. Where now am I going to go with this business? In limbo, you don't know how to pick that. You don't know what to say your path is when you're in limbo for your business. There's all sorts of paths you could take. But I couldn't get clear on the path until I was clear on the message, the method, and the people. Once I had those, the path opened up. And then it was just about taking steps and taking action into what was next for that. This show is an example of that, Marketing for the Rest of Us. I have another show called Important Work. That's a weekly show, and this one's a daily show. My Important Work show, I actually do. It's an interview show, so I interview people about their important work in the world. This show is about this is my opportunity to share with you what I've discovered in marketing. So I started moving those forward. A year and a half ago, I started a marketing agency. Why? Because I felt like my people, my tribe, the rest of us needed help with the technology of it all. Like, we're good at making an impact. We're good at what we want to say to the world most of the time. Like, we have a transformation to make, but when it comes to like putting it in different social platforms, we get buried in the details of it. It's mind numbing. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go do that. So it was just like step by step moving into the path of what was next, right? And charting a course for what I really wanted now that I was clear about my method, my message, and my people. And that gave me my path. So that, gang, is how I moved out of limbo. I'm curious to hear if you're in limbo or not. And if you are in limbo, you're more than welcome to take my free course at groundswellmethod.com. It's 90 minutes over 5 videos that actually walk you through the frameworks and the principles of marketing for people like you and me, right? For people who want to make a difference in the world but can't stand algorithms and SEO and all the technology of it all. So I would say start there. If you feel like you're in limbo, start there, because I think that could be very clarifying for you. Okay? And Ellie, come here. Okay, I was going to show you Ellie, but we will not show you Ellie. Start there, okay? And if you still have questions and you feel like that free course does not answer all your questions, listen, I'm super open. If you engage me through private messages, I'm super open and willing to engage with you in that conversation. So let me know if you have more questions beyond that course, and we can go from there. But thanks for hanging out with me tonight. I'll catch you tomorrow when we go live again. And until then, have a great evening.